Hey there, it's AJ with Outdoors Podcast. Welcome back to another video. In a couple of days, I'm going on a backpacking trip with a friend of mine from the Pacific Northwest. He's coming through the state of Missouri and we're gonna go on a quick overnight trip. He's actually a professionally trained chef, so I'm super excited for this trip. He's gonna make some incredible food for us. But I'm gonna be kind of showing him one of my favorite sites. You may have seen my video before on Hans State Park and what I think is one of the best beginner backpacking trips in Missouri. Now, Steve is certainly no beginner to backpacking. He's done a ton of camping and backpacking all over the country. So what we were really trying to achieve is just a really simple in and out, not a ton of miles, close by water source so that we could get together, hang out, share a meal or two, and then let him get back on the journey back up to Wyoming. So I wanted to show you real quickly what goes in my backpack for a trip like this. Now, the highs are gonna be in the upper 80s, lower 90s. Way hotter than I normally like to go backpacking, but we didn't want to miss an opportunity to get together and to share this experience outside, so we're going to go ahead and tough it out anyway. The lows are going to be in the upper 60s, lower 70s for the evening, so I don't have to bring a ton of stuff, but I thought I'd show you the essentials of what are going to go into my ULA Ohm 2.0 backpack. This thing weighs under 2 pounds. It's good up to about 35 pounds or so for the load capacity, or at least that's what it's been good for me. Excuse me. And let's go ahead and start packing this thing up. So inside it, I do keep a Zpacks pack liner. That's just for waterproof purposes. The very first thing that ever goes into my backpack typically are my quilts. Now, these are some really lightweight quilts, so they're obviously not like filling up the stuff sack too much. I'm gonna throw those down in the bottom of the bag. The next thing that will normally go in for me is my hammock. This is a 12-foot, this is an 11-foot Dutchware, an 11-foot Dutchware gear Netless hammock down in there. Now that's got the Helios suspension on it. The next thing that I typically pack would be my tarp. This is a Warbonnet Superfly with doors, 12 foot long. This goes on the outside of my pack, and I'll talk to you about that in just a little bit. But that goes into the bottom right-hand kind of hip pocket that's out there. I always include my stakes. I keep 6 MSR groundhogs with me, as well as 4 Vargo titanium shepherd hook stakes. I'll show you when I get to camp what those are about. Pack those down in that same outside pocket so those stay together. These are my gaiters. I'll keep those on the outside of the pack. The next thing that normally goes inside for me after I throw my hammock down in is normally my clothes bag. Now, because it's gonna be pretty warm out, I'm not bringing a lot of extra clothes. I'm gonna bring an extra pair of dry socks just in case I kind of really soak the other pair through. Shouldn't, but just in case, I'm gonna bring a Nike Dry Fit t-shirt. That just gets thrown down in the bag. I don't really worry about folding or anything. It's gonna get wrinkly, it's no big deal. Extra pair of boxers, and I always bring a swimsuit. Just about anywhere I go, these double as shorts for camp, but if you wanna jump in the water, you've got something that'll dry quickly. This is just like a classic Patagonia swimsuit. So throw that down in there. There's my clothing bag. No matter how many clothes I'm bringing, they've all gotta fit in this green bag. That's kind of my go-to for my clothing bag. So that just gets shoved down in there kind of close to my hammock. All right. I do bring rain gear on every trip. It's not gonna rain on this trip, but that serves as my extra long pair of pants and my extra long sleeve if I need it, if it's super buggy or things like that. So the other things that I'm gonna wanna bring on this trip, I'm gonna wanna bring a cook kit. We'll keep that outside. Chef Corso is gonna be doing most of the cooking, but we're gonna bring this with us, along with just a little bit of fuel so that we can make coffee or something like that in the morning. I would also maybe consider bringing like a jet boil or an MSR similar kind of function of isobutane stove, but we're gonna leave that out for now. I'm gonna bring an extra liter of water. This is just a Hydrapak 1 liter bag. I'm gonna bring that with me. So starting down into the front of the pack, I start to put things like, this is a Dutchware sit pad. It's just a little piece of foam. Carry that with me everywhere I go. I've also got a piece of Tyvek ground cloth. This just goes underneath my hammock. Put those down at the very bottom in the front. No, sorry, those don't go in the very bottom. In the very bottom goes toiletries, first aid kit. So it's literally just a toothbrush and toothpaste and a first aid kit for a little trip like this. A little packable towel. tiny, just to kind of dry things off. Water filter is a Katadyn BeFree with the supplied 1 liter bag that comes with it. I keep a Dutchware Gear 1 ounce rain cover in case it does rain. I don't think it's going to. My poop set is a Duece of Spades trowel. I also have a biodegradable roll of toilet paper and then a small thing of biodegradable wet wipes. Depending on the situation, I'll either bury everything and or pack out what is required. So just follow the regulations for wherever you're going. I also typically will bring this little tiny Mora knife. Look at the little blade on that thing, but it's all you really need. I normally am just kind of cutting pieces of paracord and or opening, freeze-dried meals. Certainly not on this meal or on this trip. That's what we're gonna try and start to move away from. And then I just really like this little Humangear reversible kind of fork and spoon. They go together, they pack down really small, they're really light. So those two things get thrown in the front of the pack. And then down in the side pockets, I normally keep my light. That way, if it does get dark as I'm hiking, I always have easy access to my headlamp, a thing of chapstick, and a lighter. These all go in my left hip pocket. Then the tarp and the sit pad, or not the tarp, but the ground cloth and the sit pad will go in the front of the backpack. And then normally I've got all kinds of other stuff like down jackets and things like that that I'm trying to keep dry. This trip's gonna be pretty simple as far as that stuff goes, so I don't have to worry too much about the things that I need to keep dry. This fuel for my camp stove is just gonna go over in the side pocket where all my water bottles go. My camp stove is gonna go down inside. My rain gear will sit on top of the dry bag. So the last things that I need to bring on this trip to make sure that they stay dry, I am bringing some podcasting equipment. So Chef Corso and I can do a podcast. I'm gonna put that down in the bag. But for the purposes of you guys knowing, if I take my food, my fuel, and my water out, the last thing I really need to pack up is the poles for my tarp. So I will stick those over in the side with my tarp so that all that kind of stuff stays together. So just that stuff and my rain gear together would be essentially my base weight along with my stove, right? That stuff right there is the equivalent of my base weight. Now I need to add a couple of smart water bottles, but those are pretty light in general. So what I'm gonna do is put this on my scale. These things are really handy to have. It's just like a little luggage scale. And my base weight right now, 10.7 pounds. So I'm right at the border of ultralight. If I added a couple of water bottles and a couple other things, I'm probably in the 11.5 range. So I'm really close to ultralight with this setup. I've got a hammock, over quilt and top quilt. I've got my tarp. I've got things to cook with. I've got some extra clothes, all kinds of little, comfort items that I would need for just an overnight trip. And I'm right around 11 pounds. If I start to add some of these other, kind of comfort items in, I'm probably going to be up near 15, 16 pounds. By the time I add food, fuel, and water, carrying a liter, probably going to be in the 23, 24 pound range, which I'm really comfortable carrying in this backpack. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of some of the things that I would bring on an overnight trip. Again, I'm going to start adding things back in that normally maybe I wouldn't bring on a trip like this, but that's the beauty of these warmer weather trips. You've got more room. So I'm going to bring podcasting gear. I'm going to bring camera gear and shoot a film for you guys. And all kinds of other items can still get packed down into this ULA backpack and make it really comfortable. And just out of curiosity, by adding those two things, now my camera's not in there, so we'll have to factor that in a nice tripod, which are certainly going to have some weight. But well, scale's not working too well anymore, low battery. But I'll put the weight of the finished backpack down in the system, or down in the description below. Thanks for tuning in to another video. Please do consider subscribing for future updates, as well as the full camping video that Chef Corso and I are going to put out on the trip that we're going to take and some of the cooking that he's going to do. So hopefully we'll see you on the next video. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification button, and we'll see you around.